Hey everyone. You know, moments like this come only once in a blue moon. For the first time, I'm able to sit down with a Japanese culture-rich indie game to analyze that, I mean, not to toot my own horn or anything, had a bit of influence when it came to the development of this game. I've actually been in talks with the creative director of Bow, Chris, since its teaser release trailer back in 2021. And they told me that a lot of research that went into the design of the Okami-esque aesthetics in this Hollow Knight-like game came from our videos. Which, I'm not sure if that means we're really good at what we do here, or if we're literally just that old now. Probably the latter. But either way, it feels like a bit of a milestone in this channel's history to review a game from a dev that took inspiration from the manic analysis that we've been doing over here for over a decade. But I'm not here to humble brag. I'm here to officially tell you, Chris, that yes, I accept your challenge to find all the Japanese cultural references in your game. Let's do this! I'm only a quarter through this game. A quarter? How? I've got, like, notes on 3 dozen things! Okay, I'm gonna need a minute. Let me cut to Boss Man who's gonna tell you about today's sponsor.
Huh?
Yeah, tell him about the Flex-a-Spot chair thingy!
Oh! I mean, I'm still sitting in this thing after 2 months.
Seriously, I cannot understand how in the world half of you sit comfortably in gamer chairs. I mean, I had one for a while, but that lasted like 2 weeks to a month before it completely broke down. Like, I know I'm not exactly the lightest weight I've ever been, but holy crap can this thing not take anything over 190 pounds. That's why I'm still using the C7 after 2 months. This bad boy can take up to 300 pounds without busting. And that's absolutely the least of the problems that I had. When it came to the gamer chair, it was so cramped, it had no lumbar support, and I couldn't even sit cross-legged. And that, folks, is why I'm still with Flex-a-Spot's C7 ergonomic chair. I can't stress it enough. If you don't have this level of lumbar support, you are actively killing your back. Listen, we all shrimp. Admit it. We all do. But this thing? Even when I know I'm slouched, it keeps my lower back supported, and I know all of you out there over the age of 30 complain about having back pain behind the desk. Doesn't matter if you sit normally, or slightly forward, or slightly back, this back bumper moves with you and will keep you from shrimping. Moreover, this chair has so much room in its seat that I can actually comfortably sit any way that I want. I'm a dude with big thighs, so I usually like to sit cross-legged, and this is the first chair that's actually let me do that comfortably. Like, there's just a ton of surface area they can sit on, and it's still really comfortable. And even with all that space, I still have more than enough room to put up my arms naturally at the rests. So like I said before, it don't matter if you're a big boy or big girl, you will get more than enough room and more than enough weight capacity to do what you need to do when you're sitting behind the desk. Look, I always make it a point to never promote anything on this channel that I personally don't like, but I very much love this chair and think you would too. And Flex-a-Spot told me that in celebration of their anniversary, if you pop over to the link in my description and use the code C782150, kind of an odd choice, you'll get up to 65% off your order and have a chance to win some free goodies from them as well. I love this thing, I personally think you'd love it too, and especially if you need something reliable, long-lasting, and can actually keep you comfortable for sitting half a dozen hours at a time, and especially if you're a big boy like me, you would absolutely adore this chair.
And yeah, that's basically all I've got to say on the matter, but you good, man?
Yeah, I guess I'm ready to go over this list that I got. Okay, look, before I get too into this, I'm only gonna be covering the first 2 hours of the game. Reason 1 being, if you love Okami, Hollow Knight, and anything in between those two, you're gonna love this game, and I do not want to spoil this whole thing. Second reason, 3 dozen references! If I was to go over the entirety of all the Japanese cultural references in this game, I wouldn't get this video done until Christmas, and the algorithm is already pretty upset that we're just uploading once a month because Bossman wants to work on the new Orc Warhammer channel. So, we're gonna keep it simple here, or as simple as this is gonna get. Now, I guess if we're gonna do things right, we should start at the very beginning. The heavenly descent of the titular character, Bo. Now, first and foremost, we find a handful of Kodama frolicking around being adorable. I mean, you're gonna find at least 30 of these guys all around the game as an unlockable challenge, but this is the first time you see these little nerds in this game. And what is a Kodama? Well, imagine if every tree in the forests of Japan had a tiny, glowy, pigment-like humanoid that personifies the very existence of said tree and— wait! Are Pikmin Kodama? Focus. Oh, jeez. Sorry, I guess I'll just store that away for a future video. Long story short, if you kill a tree or its Kodama that it's bound to, they both just die. And if you see trees bleeding sap when you cut them, well, congrats, you just axed the Kodama that was living in that tree. Hope you like lifelong curses, bud. And finally, we come to our bro tag, Bo, the Tentai Hana. And interestingly, this is a unique concept within this game, but it does have some staggering inspirations. Unless I missed my guess, Tentai Hana, represented with these kanji, loosely translates to heavenly body flower. And that checks out, as all Tentai Hana are celestial figures from heaven that descend to the mortal world just as some calamitous event is about to happen. Oh, and boy, is something actually really horrible about to happen. Now, a celestial creature appearing before a horrible event is actually nothing all that new in Japanese folklore. Heck, when COVID dropped, it rekindled Japan's fascination with the Amabie, a semi-aquatic celestial creature that shows up just as a horrible illness breaks out, whose picture is said to cure said horrible illness. Similarly, there's the Amabiko, which is like the Amabie, just fuzzy, and has roughly all the same attributes as the Amabie. There's also the Kanibito, the Hitokai, the Umidebito, the Honengame. Like, there's dozens of prophecy and message-delivering yokai. And you know, it's weird because all of them come from the ocean rather than the heavens. But anywho, as far as what Bo is, I think it's safe to say that any casual observer can tell that Bo, the tiny Tentai Hana, is a kitsune. But notably, Bo is specifically a tenko, or celestial fox. Like, you've got Yako, or Nogitsune, which are foxes that have existed long enough to become magical, but they've got zero celestial connections. They're kinda just jerks with magic mostly. But Tenko? Oh, Tenko have an insane hierarchical structure. I don't have time to go over all that right now, so go check out this other video if you want to learn more about just how dense this fox hierarchy is. But long story short, I think Bo is a Kiko. Good kitsune spirits that serve Inari that are genuinely beneficial. But I bring up the whole hierarchy thing because soon you meet another Tentai Hana named Asahi, who honestly I think is somewhere between a Tenko proper and a Kuko. Basically somewhere between higher middle management and nearing retirement age. Considering just how much history the character has in lore in-game and just how rude they are to Bo, who is a freshly fallen Tentai Hana, calling Bo lowly and derivatives thereof. So yeah, I think Tentai Hana are basically different interpretations on celestial creatures that span Japan's folklore. And I know for a fact we're gonna be meeting more that need discussing, but I gotta start speedrunning this folklore, we're never gonna get this done. So one of the first yokai that we actually see in the game outside of cutscenes are the Cholchinobake, Tsukumogami thing yokai who have gained a soul and personality after 100 years of existence. Though unlike most games, all the different kinds of Cholchinobake in this aren't enemies. They're actually platforming traversal tools to pogo off of into multiple jumps. Absolute requirements for the majority of the different puzzles in this game. And considering they're my favorite Tsukumogami, I'm glad they're that prevalent. Shortly after in-game, we finally unlock our primary method of attack, the Equinox Staff, made from Bo's earring. Interestingly enough, this isn't so much a Japanese reference as a Chinese one. From the epic journey to the west and the character's son Wukong, the near-invincible Monkey King, who would often shrink down his trusty staff, the Nui Jingubang, sorry for pronunciation, Chinese viewers, to the size of a toothpick and keep it behind his ear when not in use. This is quite literally the same thing, barring the fact that the Equinox Staff is an earring instead of it just sitting behind Bo's ear. So, after some exploration with the pogo mechanics with the staff, yeah, remember how I said that this game's lore stated that Tentai Hana show up right before a disastrous event? Yeah, here it is. And no friends, that isn't just a giant skeleton, that is a freaking Gashadokuro. A colossal skeleton said to be made from the spirit and bones of soldiers and peasants left unburied and very spiritually angry on the battlefield. And I mean, it's bad enough we have a 350 tall undead skeleton stomping around, but Gashadokuro are literally indestructible. The only defense one has against them is to book it if you hear a distinct ringing in one's ears. The only way for Gashadokuro to be stopped is, ironically, the only way we'll ever be stopped. Burnout, baby! Once a Gashadokuro's anger and malice finally burns out from its physical body, it will crumble back to the bones that it was built from. Also, this Gashadokuro has what looks like Godzilla spines, and I don't even want to think about this thing having atomic breath. Right after that harrowing experience, we run into these two little goofballs aptly named To and Ni, or Tori together, which means bird in Japanese. But this is no ordinary bird. To and Ni are a Yogen no Tori. And man, I don't know what's up with this game and prophecy yokai, but chalk this one up to the others. Yogen no Tori are small two-headed crows, with one having a white head and the other having a black head. Little is actually known about them, as people only ever see them when the yokai arrive to deliver a message. Usually a warning about horrible things to come, like a disease breakout. And then they just leave. And just like the Amabie, possessing the image of this creature is said to ward off whatever illness the Yogen no Tori had prophesized. In this guy's specific case, their claim to fame came during the outbreak of cholera in 1858. 1 year prior, a man named Kizayamon reported the creature who was discovered at Mount Haku in Kaga, saying that in late summer next year, a horrible disease will emerge that had the potential to kill 90% of the world's population, and that whoever looks upon it would be spared this horrible fate. Now, in Bo, To and Ni act as a pseudo-tutorial and provide tongue-in-cheek levity of the plot, but despite the difference in tone, I think it's actually a pretty neat idea for an NPC to guide the player along as a Yogen no Tori. And soon after, we meet our first enemy in the game, this little demonic ball of hate. Considering its flaming blue body, the implied teeth, and the horns, I can only assume this is an Onibi. Similar to Hitodama, Onibi, or Demon Fire, are said to be created from all manner of dead creatures in the wild. Usually blue in color, they can be seen in groups as big as 30. And very similar to Will-O-Wisps, to chase after one leads to the inevitable disappearance of the hapless individual fool enough to chase them. Now, occasionally, when trying to find hidden Kodama in the world, you will sometimes pull up a freaking Nekomata, who does immediate damage and steals some of your Kitsune B currency. I have no idea why they would be hiding underground. Nekomata are 20-plus-year-old cats who gain so much spiritual power that they can raise the dead and set anything they want to on freaking fire. So, not sure why they would be here of all places, but I'd be terrified to find one this way. And speaking of terrifying, throughout the forest you are constantly being watched by a monstrous floating figure. And as you progress, these little ghost guys on strings assail you. Moreover, as you go through the level, you find out that the floating figure is the first boss of the game, Kiri Kiri Bozu. And I don't know what it is, but ever since Ghostwire Tokyo, I'm noticing that Teru Teru Bozu are becoming featured in more and more games as enemies, and I really don't know why. These guys are actually pretty benevolent, all things considered. During rainy days, kids will actually make and hang up the Teru Teru Bozu, as in their name Shiny Shiny Monk implies, to drive away the rain and bring the sunshine back. Kiri Kiri Bozu, on the other hand, means cut monk and will do exactly that if you let them. So I don't know, man. These guys always seem pretty chill to me. But after subduing said boss and beating up on a giant mustachio Chochinobake, which, yeah, I know it's part of the lamp itself, but I always see this guy as like a Slavic Chochin wearing an Ushanka. We move on to the next level, Uzumaki Cave. No, not that one. Uzumaki literally just means swirl, so think a bit more broadly. But don't worry, we actually do have anime references in this game. In said caves, we come across a new enemy, and I'm not 100% on what this guy's supposed to be. I'm thinking it's a Yolnaki Ishi, but I'm not really sure. Meaning Night Weeping Stone, a Yolnaki Ishi is made up when someone is killed on or near said stone. Now, while some stories say that the soul of the slain individual possesses the rock, others say that the rock itself is the thing that cries out. And I come to this conclusion because this enemy has an obvious Shimenawa and Shide wrapped around its stone body, and as we talked about in a previous video, this indicates that there's some kind of kami or spirit within it, and I don't know, man, it could have just been a design choice for all I know. It's all kind of up in the air, but that was the conclusion I drew. Now for this next one. This next one. Going a bit further into the cave, we find a massive chamber with Shimenawa, empty offering containers, and a massive circular stone that has what looks like a symbol of a sun on it. And if you listen close enough, you can hear crying. Can't hear it very well? Well, let me turn down the music for a sec. Yeah, now you can hear it, right? Considering it's muffled, I'd say it's someone behind this wall crying. And who would it be? Well, all my money is Amatarasu, the sun goddess. I mean, never mind those context clues, have a look at the mini-map of where you are. Not only can you see the sun motif with that stone in that one room, but look at the statue in the adjacent room. Heck, look at the statue in that adjacent room in-game. The headdress, the clothing, the halo, it's gotta be Amaterasu. For those of you that don't know, after Amaterasu's brother Susanoo burned her rice fields and threw a flayed horse at her loom, she fled the known world into a cave called Amano Iwato, and the sun went with her, weeping loudly as she left. Now, none of the other kami could persuade her to come out. That is until Amino Uzume got topless and danced on top of an overturned washtub, making all the other kami cheer. Yes, that is actually what happened. Now, whether because she was tricked or she felt a renewed purpose, Amaterasu saw her reflection in a now sacred mirror, the Yata no Kagami, and was removed from the cave, bringing light back into the world. And you know, now that I think about it, that circular stone in the game actually looks more like a recreation of the Yata no Kagami than anything, so I don't know, man, I guess play the game and find out. And not far from there, we run into a curious, coin-flipping Dodomeki who asks us for our eyes in exchange for an Omamori charm. Of course, we say no, because the heck kind of trade is that? Now, you might be wondering why a feminine figure covered in eyes would make that kind of request. Well, that's what the actual Dodomeki is all about. The 100 Eye Demon, as it translates, are women who are cursed to have tons of tiny eyes all over their bodies. And the reason why they developed this curse came from financial greed. Toriyama Sekian describes this yokai as a woman with, quote, long arms, which is a cultural shorthand for calling someone a thief. Back in the day, most coins had small holes in them for easy storing on a rope or a chain, and said hole being called a chomoku, or bird eye. So when you understand all of that terminology, you can easily understand why the Dodomeki has the body that it does. All of the eyes within its body representing all of the coins that it stole in life. And potentially explaining why Dodomeki in this game would be asking Bo for their eyeballs. Going further in the cave, we come across this massive piece of Jomon-era pottery, only to discover this two-piece floating bowl with an odd-looking woman inside, caressing a rather leaky box who talks to us through some unintelligible script. Yeah, that don't make much sense now, does it? But this is actually not so much a yokai as Japan's first ever recorded experience with UFOs. I'm not kidding. This is an Utsurobune, or hollow boat. In 1803 in Hitachi province, a young woman was discovered in the aforementioned hollow boat by a group of fishermen. The boat itself was 1 part metal plates on the bottom and 1 part lacquered rosewood on the top with several glass windows. The woman herself was in her late teens, early 20s, with red hair with white extensions and pale pink skin. Despite this find, neither the fisherman nor the woman could actually communicate with each other. She spoke something far, far removed from Japanese. And while she was nice, she always clutched a rectangular box that no one, and I mean no one, was allowed to touch. There was a wild theory devised that she was a princess on the run from her homeland after an affair with her scandalous lover killed. And it was also theorized that inside that box was the head of said lover that she ran off with, and yeah, that makes that drippy boxing game kinda sus, huh? Long story short, I think you can see the similarities here. The hair color, the box, the inability to communicate, the literal one-to-one of the hollow boat. I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool to see something this obscure in this game. Not too far in further, we run into a reoccurring Kodama character named Shimeji, and this time we gotta go find all their armor pillows, which, for the record, are freaking adorable. But Shimeji's armor pillows are special because they're literally just characters from Kimetsu no Yaiba. Yeah, putting aside historical culture for popular culture for a sec, the 4 armor pillows that you find could not be more obvious references. In order, you find Zenitsu, Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Inosuke in their unique character garbs. There's even a few moments where Shinmeji lore drops the different Armapill's behavior, which lines up to the character behavior from the anime. Finally, I kid you not, in the early alphas of this game, the names were also one-to-one with the characters in the show. Obviously being replaced for copyright reasons, but I was like, wait, what is this? Finally, in Uzumaki Cave, we round off the level by obtaining the Shita key from Shimeji, haha, good pun, that we earned from fighting and defeating the samurai-style Armakillo, who was completely obliterated into nothing but its Maedate. Ouch. Okay, Sencho Bridge. We're almost to Sakura City, except we first come across another Tentai Hana, a Biwa-playing rabbit who gives you a long-term side quest to find their brethren. Though they speak in a lot of references to the moon and even cite the kami of the moon himself, Tsukuyomi. And this should be no surprise, is that with a lot of Asia in general, there's a belief that there's a rabbit on the moon either pounding mochi or creating the elixir of life that provides immortality to the great gods. And just ahead God, I hate these things. These are Wanyudo, and I have no idea why they're only a floating stage hazard in this game. Sorry, I got insane PTSD from Neo when it comes to these guys, and even if I didn't, man, you thought the Gashadokuro were bad? The Wanyudo are literally hellbound heads of monks on wheels who roll around the lands looking for other evildoers to drag to hell. Except they'll just take about anyone who looks at them with them. Seriously, looking at this thing can damn your soul for eternity. Why are they here, floating around so aimlessly? Huh. Oh, what was that? Well, whatever. Moving along, we come across some theoretic aquatic yokai. Well, except for the Kappa, we know what that guy is. But then we got this thing that pops out of the river to shoot water balls at us, and I know there's a lot of snail shell yokai out there, but I think this is specifically a Sazai no Oni. Think evil mermaids, but snails instead of fish, and you get the general idea of what these things are all about. Basically, they're 30-year-old turban snails gone bad, gone sexual, again, no really, or they're just the souls of women thrown overboard. Take a pick. Thankfully, these in-game are more snail than woman, but unless my eyes deceive me, they've got some lovely lady lashes going on there, and that's really why I think that they're a Sazai no Oni and not any other ocean-dwelling yokai. We also got some evil crabbies around the stage too, which might be Bakegani, with the samurai faces on the crab shell derived from drowned warriors of the Genpei War, but there's not a ton of evidence to prove that one way or another. But yeah, remember that female figure in the water that just kinda came out and followed us for a while? Yeah, that's a Hashihime, an insanely jealous female yokai who dwells within bridges, especially really long and really old bridges at that, and Sencho Bridge? Yeah, the whole bridge is its own stage, so it's freaking huge. They wear white clothes with white face paint and wear an iron rivet with 5 candles on them. And yeah, that's exactly what this gal has. I'm gonna be real, these girls really kinda suck. If you ever step foot on Hashime's bridge, you better drown in compliments or she'll drown you in the river that she came out of. Alternatively, you better know and be able to recite lines from her favorite stage play or you'll be dropped into the drink. Sure enough, you can compliment this Hashime's bridge in-game, but I learned in a previous save file that she'll go after you even if you do. So I just told her to stick it and get on with the minute-long platforming challenge. There are some stories of Hashime being worshipped as protectorates of a local bridge, even having their own shrines, but I don't know, man, because the Hashime are also kami of separation. And separation so strong that it was thought that couples that crossed over one's bridge would break up or divorce. So yeah, I think she sucks, but if you want to go check out her story for yourself, go read up Tsurugi no Maki, or check out the play Kanawa if you want to learn more. And that takes us to the beautiful transition of night and day and the gates of Sakura City, where... Okay... Yeah, like I said, If I was to culturally analyze everything in this game, I'd be doing it till Christmas, and there's a lot more that I want to cover in other games and media, so I better just stop here. Again, if you like Hollow Knight, Okami, and anything that could possibly be between them, you will love this game, so be sure to give Bull Path of the Teal Lotus a look. It is absolutely worth your time. And also a big thank you to FlexiSpy for sponsoring us this time. Bossman still loves the C7 ergonomic chair, and with our checkout code, you can get up to 65% off something you like for yourself. Finally, a big thank you to our patrons. I know we were a little late with this one as the game's been out for a bit, but we didn't want to spoil too much in this video too quickly, so we decided to wait a bit. Thanks for voting, everyone, and be sure to keep an eye out for next month's video topics. And if you want to support us and be a part of our videos too, be sure to check out our Patreon. But thanks for watching, everyone. If you want to learn more about Japan through your favorite media, be sure to sub up, get notified, and until next time, everyone, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.